And with that, Ellen, thanks so much for joining us. You've been here multiple times. I think people already know you quite well. I think you're such a wisdom keeper. So
Thank
what do you have
you.
for us today?
Well, yeah, I've been thinking a lot. We are in extraordinary times and so challenging on so many levels. And I've been just thinking about our hearts. And it's Valentine's Day, right? And so I thought I would do something on the heart. And yeah, I always talk about food, and I'm definitely going to talk about that. But I wanted to talk about the heart from a different perspective as well. Because I think we all need a lot of heart right now. And we need our collective hearts as well. And because, our health isn't just our physical health and, lab tests and all of that. We all know that already because we're all here in integrative medicine. But especially in Chinese medicine, we look at, not just our physical health, but our mental, emotional health, our spiritual health. So I have a little PowerPoint. And so can I share that with you? All right. So happy Valentine's Day. I was reading about Valentine. The word Valentine actually means strong, and heart, of course, courage. It was interesting, like, how did we get Valentine's Day? It was this Catholic thing. It was some martyr, Saint Valentine, and he was interned on this day. But it's also a day, a fertility festival. So that's very promising. It's about life and promoting life. So I guess my big question, and this is a question for myself as well, how am I going to nourish my physical heart, but also my spiritual heart? Because if you just sit there and take a deep breath in, let's do that now. Just take a deep breath in through your nose, allow it to kind of go down, expand into your chest, and just kind of notice your own heart, that area around your heart. And, we can feel a lot of things in our heart. We can feel joy, love, and that kind of feeling that just spreads through our whole body and kind of goes past our barrier of our skin. We can feel heartache, we can feel heartbreak, we can feel so many things in our hearts. So, the question is, how do we nourish ourselves, not just with food, but in our relationships, in our community, with ourselves? How do we do a lot of self-care for ourselves as well? And so, just according to Chinese medicine, I just was kind of looking some things up. They think of the heart as like a lotus bud, and that's what this is. And the lotus is really an interesting plant because it emanates out of the mud. And in Chinese herbalism, we use many different parts of the lotus. We use the lotus seed, which is kind of a nutty-like seed that you can put in rice and soups, and it's in herbal teas. It's a tonic for the heart and the lung, and it also helps with sleep. You can see the leaves and the sand in the water there. If you ever go to a Chinese restaurant, you can see those. There's a dish with lotus leaf. And we use the root, which is a really beautiful root, and it's almost like jicama, and you can chop it up and you can put it in soups. You can stir fry it, you can steam it, I like to put it in the oven and roast it like potato, and you get these kind of lotus chips. They're really nice. But in Chinese medicine, we see the heart as, of course, it's like it is the thing that makes us stay alive, right? When our heart stops, we're done. But it's also the center of our consciousness. It houses our spirit. And so we want our heart to be healthy physically, and we want our heart to be healthy emotionally and spiritually, so that we can have a clear mind, because we say that the heart houses our consciousness and our mind, and it has a direct relationship to our mind up here. But also in Chinese, Shaoxian is the stomach, and it's a word for stomach that means small heart. That old saying, like the way to a man's heart is through his stomach. Well, it's also the way to our hearts too. It's like what we eat and how we digest what we eat. So I was looking up the word courage, because if you know the word in French, cœur, it has this, parallel. And I was like, what is the origin of the word courage? Because that's what I feel like I need right now, and in many different ways. And its origin is heart, the seat of emotion. So again, when we nourish our hearts and we nourish our spirit and we keep our spirit clear, it gives us a stronger heart. It gives us stronger courage, and not just to meet the incredible challenges out there in the world, but also the challenges with ourselves. Like, I know I've been really wrestling with a lot of worry, you know, and how do I not let it overtake me, or kind of pull me apart, my nervous system. So I've been really doing, you know, a lot of meditation and just breathing practice to help calm the nervous system, to calm my own heart, so that I can give to myself and to others. And also, I love that the words for heart is also commonly a metaphor for inner strength. So there are a lot of really good reasons to nourish our hearts and to, you know, to feel our own hearts. And one practice I like to do is just imagining someone I really love and just breathing into my own heart and imagining that. And the feeling I get in my own body and my own sensing body is really wonderful. And I know that you all have experienced that at some point, some time. So that's a really nice little practice you can do when you just need some love. You know, just bring that person you really love, you know, whether it be your whoever, and just breathe them into your heart. And it's just a marvelous, marvelous feeling. So just some ideas about how we nourish ourselves and our hearts, and, you know, cultivating joy. I think in challenging times, it's really important to cultivate joy. That gives us a certain resilience and courage. Again, you know, pleasure. Where do we get pleasure? Small pleasures. You know, how do we give ourselves ease? How are we gentle with ourselves? How do we exhibit kindness to ourselves and others? How do we breathe? Can we breathe in deeply, you know, to again, to kind of move energy that can get stuck in our hearts, and move it through our body and circulate it. And of course, whenever we circulate, we help our circulation, we help our heart energy, etc. You know, how are we nourishing our senses? And of course, whatever, and you can nourish your senses in the simplest way. You know, when we get stuck in our heads, like the world doesn't even exist out here. You know, it's just my thoughts. That's like everything, right? And that's part of the problem we're in. These thoughts are like out there. But, you know, just looking out the window, looking at the clouds, you know, rubbing your hands on something soft, or putting your hands under warm water, or standing under the shower and just feeling the water come onto your body. That these are things that nourish us, that bring us into our bodies and bring us into our own sense of well-being. Sharing love, you know, in the simplest ways, a little note to somebody, reaching out, just saying, hey, how you doing? You know, reaching out to connect. These things really make a big difference. I mean, I know it makes a big difference when people do that for me. It just kind of makes my day. So, you know, how can we reach out, and what kind of community are we in? I mean, I'm starting to create little gatherings where people come and just share, like, what's your project? What are you doing? Just so that we can kind of foster a sense of community. These are all important things to nourish ourselves and to nourish our hearts. Now, when you talk about food, it's kind of the same thing. You know, you want to eat the right thing, of course, but it's not like a, you know, this heavy thing you got to do. We need to have pleasure. We need to enjoy ourselves. We need to stay flexible, a certain sense of ease. We need to kind of consider what we need, or what, if we're cooking for somebody else, what they might need. A kind of dynamic kind of thing, you know, like alive, you know, whole food, fresh food. Jeanette was telling me about some dish she's going to make with okra and tomatoes and black-eyed peas and some bay leaf and some spices. And, you know, I could just kind of start to imagine it. And if it brings you joy, this is good. Color, you know, smells, again, your senses, you know, really activating your senses, feeling that pleasure with the delicious taste of food. And I really encourage people, join a cooking class, because there's no better way to learn how to get healthier eating than to do it with other people. So I don't know if through GW they have some offerings there, but look into that. again, just want to bring in some like regular, I think you probably all have had exposure to this, but these are heart healthy foods, dark leafy greens, explore like the bitter greens like chicories and escarole and frisee and dandelion greens and little spicy greens like arugula or mustard greens. Nuts and seeds, of course, it was great, good quality oils, essential fatty acids, eating whole grains, whether it be brown rice or oats or millet or amaranth or teff or quinoa. These are all really good grains. Cold water fish, good quality oil, and then red foods like beets and berries and blueberries. These are filled with really great antioxidants. They're really beneficial for us, etc. And herbal teas, green tea, mint, and moderate coffee intake, I would say, is just fine. Borscht, I have Ukrainian heritage. That's the national dish. I grew up with it. I love it. It's good for your blood. It's good for your heart. It's delicious. So you can make I have a great vegan borscht in my book, but some people do it with a beef stock or carrots and cabbage, etc. There are different kinds of borscht. So I love this picture. So I just wanted to share it with you. This is a condiment you can make with seeds, chia, flax, hemp, sunflower, sesame, white or black. You take 2 tablespoons of each and you roast them in a pan until they kind of an aroma that you smell. Make sure that you keep stirring it. You add a tablespoon of coconut sugar and like a teaspoon of salt, and then you kind of put it in like a mortar and pestle, or if you have a spice grinder, and then you can put that over cereal or grains. It's kind of nice because it's sweet, but it's a little bit salty, really heart healthy condiment. I really love to use herbs, and your kitchen spice cabinet is like there for you, like cinnamon. It's so warming. It's great for circulation. Linden flower is a little more unusual. It's an herb tea you can get. It's very calming. And again, when we're calm, we feel much better. So you want to really, when you're feeling tense, it's really hard for your heart to relax. It's hard for your mind to relax. So you want to get things like that. Goji berries. I don't know if you can see that. Okay, yeah, those are like, you can get those in the store. Teas like, these are some chrysanthemum. I really like Chinese chrysanthemum tea, but chamomile tea is very calming. This is a little more unusual. This is hawthorn fruit from Chinese herbs. Sometimes they make it into like a fruit leather. Hawthorn berries are very good for the heart, for circulation. Cacao is really good too. Of course, lower sugar is much better than, don't get the milk chocolate, too much sugar. Lemon balm, lavender, like chrysanthemum, like I said, these are just some herbs that you can look at bringing in. This is a herb tea I make. The white is the chrysanthemum flower, the green are nettles, and rosebuds. You can get those in Middle Eastern stores. You can buy them online. They're really nice to put in tea, or you can mix it in a spicy herb mix. Okay, so I'm a big fan of our former Surgeon General, Dr. Vivek Murthy, and he spent a lot of time talking about our mental health and about the plague of loneliness that we're all in. And he did a beautiful little booklet called Parting Prescription for America. You can find it online. And what he's really talking about is how we build community to become fulfilled. How do we cultivate our relationships, our service, our purpose? But I love this because I think this is good for our hearts too, that sense of belonging and being part of something, and being part of AIM, being here together in fellowship is just a really wonderful thing. And so you can get this online for free, but I just really loved how he talks about these elements of courage, kindness, grace, and generosity, and love. And I'm such a fan of his that I watched his parting thing at the office when he was leaving. And one of his main people said that when he met him for a job, he talked to him about, really, I want to build a team where people are kind, where they have integrity, and that's powered by love and vulnerability. And, that's a really unusual thing, especially in government. But I think it's something that, when I think about it, gives me courage in my life. So I just wanted to share that with you. And you could, like I said, you can find that online. And so I just want to ask you, what's one thing that you can do for yourselves today to nourish your heart? What would give you that warm feeling in your chest that kind of starts to emanate into your body? So to nourish your physical and your spiritual heart. And that is all I have to say. And I will stop the share. And if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer any
I
questions.
do. Ellen,
Yeah.
can we get a copy of the screen that the screens you just showed us?
Sure. Yeah, I'm happy. I can. How can I do that, Jeanette? She's still here. I'll get Jeanette and I'll get her to send it.
Yes, I'm still here. Just send me the entire PowerPoint.
Okay.
And I'll turn it into a PDF and share it with the group.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'm happy to.
Thank you.
Sure. Do you have any other questions or thoughts? I mean, any kind of, how are you nourishing your hearts? Let's share that. Let's give each other some courage, as they say. Okay, I guess not. All right. Well, I hope that you have a beautiful, heartfelt day. And I'm always so grateful for this community. I'm always impressed with, that you've kept it going all this time, and Misha, your generosity and constantly, oh dear, it's no. All right. I'm going to send that. Of course, it's not available on the website. I'll send it to you, Jeanette, the Parting RX for America. Okay. And then you can send it off.